His crimes span decades, and on this week's episode of The Evidence Room, we are taking you inside the life of Robert Durst.
He was a multimillionaire who courted scandal and murder throughout his entire life. KPRC2 investigator Robert Arnold joins us now with a sneak peek of what we'll see. Robert, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me again. We did things a little bit different this week. We decided to go ahead and hit the road. And so we hit the road with our friend Phil Archer, a veteran KPRC2 journalist who's now retired, but he covered Robert Durst extensively. So we went down to Galveston and we visited the spot where Robert Durst actually became an internationally known killer.
So this is where he lived.
Yeah, this is the murder scene.
Well, yeah, so naturally when you look at this, it doesn't exactly scream New York real estate air.
No, it doesn't. It's not fancy. He's obviously, at that time, trying to stay under the radar, but in a strange way. At the same time, he's dressing as a woman in such a way as to draw attention to himself.
Right, he wasn't very good at the disguise.
Yeah, so while he's trying to go underground here, live in a sort of nondescript house in a working class neighborhood in Galveston, he's also going around town dressed as a woman and obviously a man, so he was getting a lot of attention.
Now, that part of the story I actually did cover. I remember back then I spoke with the man for quite a length of time who actually helped Durst develop this female persona. Now, of course, that poor man had no idea that Durst had been accused of killing his neighbor, dismembering the body and tossing the parts into Galveston Bay. So naturally, he was a little freaked out to find out about that. So we're going to go through all that, plus all the different crimes that Durst has been linked to in multiple states over the years. I've really never, ever seen anybody quite like this man.
And this guy who helped Durst develop that female persona, did he ask probing questions to Durst? I mean, surely there had to have been some curiosity on his part as to why Durst was coming to him for this particular advice.
No, he honestly thought he was a divorcee who was going through a midlife crisis and just trying to figure out who he was. He didn't talk a lot. He came across as this kind of meek, shy guy, you know, no one knowing that he's actually a killer. And so that's what he thought. He really didn't probe that much because to him, he appeared like a guy who was just trying to figure things out in life.
And he figured out, hey, he's coming to me for help, I'm going to help him.
Right, exactly, because he had come to these shows. He had gone to different shows on the island, and we get into that in the piece. And so we saw him as a regular and kind of took pity on him.
And you know what's fascinating, Robert? It's when you talk about from state to state, this trail that followed him, and it was just not known for so long.
Well, when I say that I've never really seen anybody quite like this, we've seen a lot of horrific killers, a lot of people who've killed certainly more people than Robert Durst was accused of killing. But it's amazing to me to see a human being who for his entire adult life was under a cloud of suspicion in one way or another. I've just never seen anything like it. A lot of these killers, they come out and nobody realized they were this prolific a killer until after they were caught. This guy, he was under suspicion from the word go, everywhere he went.
Yeah, so many layers to peel back on this story. Yeah. You're doing an excellent job.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you being here, Robert. Thank you. There is, as Robert mentioned, a lot more to talk about with this story. Our latest episode of The Evidence Room streams at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on our KPRC2 Plus app.